Breakfast is supposed to be simple: coffee, eggs, maybe toast if the cook isn't in a mood. But in a greasy spoon off the highway, simplicity can get complicated fast, especially when the man at the table isn't who he looks like. Jason Statham sat in a faded booth, plain t-shirt, nothing flashy. To everyone else, he was just another tired guy grabbing breakfast. To the waitress, he was a customer with questions she didn't want to answer. Because when he asked why the staff looked so worn out, she let it slip. They hadn't been paid in weeks. The fork froze in his hand. The room went quiet, and the workers, who thought no one noticed their struggle, suddenly realized they'd just confessed to the wrong man. Wrong because he wasn't just a customer. He was the CEO. And he hadn't come for the coffee. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you how one undercover breakfast turned into the day a company's lies got served back hotter than the eggs. It started before dawn. Jason liked to travel without fanfare. No motorcades. No PR handlers rehearsing authentic moments. Just him, his boots, and the kind of diner where the neon sign buzzed louder than the conversations inside. This was Mile 214 Diner, a franchise that looked like it hadn't seen paint since the Clinton administration. Headquarters had been getting complaints, late deliveries, cash variances, rumors of a bullying manager. Nothing serious enough to hit the board meetings. Nothing urgent enough to trend on social media. That's exactly why Jason was there. The rot that kills companies doesn't make headlines. It hides in places like this, waiting to be ignored. The bell over the door clanged as he walked in. 3 heads lifted, 2 went back down, one hers stayed up. Her name tag read Riley, ponytail limp, eyes heavy, smile polite in the way a bandage covers a wound. She poured his coffee and tried to make small talk, but her voice cracked around the edges. "You look like you've been here all week," Jason said. "Feels like it," she muttered, then winced. "Kidding, just a joke." He sipped. The coffee tasted like burnt cardboard, but it didn't matter. "Not a very funny one," he said. She gave a half smile, and then, without meaning to, she confessed, "We haven't been paid in 18 days. There it was, 18 days. Jason didn't need to hear another word. He knew what that meant: skipped rent, empty fridges, lies to kids about why dinner's late, payday loans with smiling ads and broken promises. He set the mug down slowly, like he was handling a live grenade. 18 days, he repeated. Her eyes flicked toward the kitchen, where the cook slammed a spatula like it owed him money. In the corner, an older woman stacked plates with wrists too tired for the weight. A teenage boy scraped pans at the sink, sneakers squeaking with every step. Riley swallowed. "But it's coming, that's what he says, it's coming." Jason didn't ask who he was. He already knew. The manager. There's always a manager. "Order?" she asked, rushing to change the subject. 2 eggs over easy, hash browns, bacon," he paused, "and eat something yourself." Her face went pink. "I'm not hungry." "Doesn't matter," Jason said. "Eat anyway." She blinked. For a moment she looked like someone had reminded her she was human. Then she nodded, scribbled, and hurried off. Jason leaned back. The place told its own story. The card machine down, cash only sign by the register. The till drawer wedged open with a coaster. The laminated plaque on the wall that said "Family Fund for Employees in Need," half covered with a handwritten sign that read "Temporarily Unavailable." Family, always the word. Companies loved to say, "We're family," when it was convenient. But families don't make you wait 18 days to feed your kids. The cook dropped Jason's order with the grace of a hammer. The bacon was good. The eggs wobbled just right. None of it mattered. He ate anyway, slow and steady, like a soldier gathering strength before a fight. 2 booths over, a man in a suit snapped his fingers at Riley. "Miss, hello, been waiting 10 minutes. Jason looked up. Riley jumped like she'd been shocked. Jason set his fork down. "I'll handle it," he said. "You don't work here," Riley whispered. "Today I do." He walked over to the suit. The man's watch cost more than Riley made in a month. His voice dripped entitlement. "I've been waiting." "For the first time in your life," Jason cut in smoothly. "Wild feeling, isn't it?" The suit blinked. "Who the hell are you?" Jason leaned in. "The guy keeping you from embarrassing yourself further. Order the omelet, it's honest." The man flushed red. "Fine, omelet, coffee, please." Jason straightened. gave Riley a look that said you're welcome, and went back to his seat. She stared at him like he'd just flipped gravity upside down. "You can't talk to customers like that." "You can," Jason said. "You just did through me." Something shifted in her shoulders. Not much, just enough to breathe. Jason finished his plate, left cash under the mug, and watched the room like a hawk. He didn't want charity here. Charity solves today. He wanted justice. Justice fixes the system. At 8:57 a.m. the front door opened, and in walked the storm. The manager, Mr. Pike. Shiny tie, fake smile, hands too smooth for a kitchen. He breezed in like he owned the air. "Team," he announced, clapping his hands. "Another day, another dollar if you earn it." Jason's jaw tightened. The staff avoided Pike's eyes. Riley busied herself with napkins that didn't need straightening. The dishwasher stared at the sink. Agnes, the older woman, massaged her wrists. Jason sipped his coffee, watching. This was it, the moment he'd come for. Pike strutted to the register, tapping the cash-only sign with a manicured nail. "Still broken? Shame. Paperwork takes time." Jason set his mug down. 18 days isn't paperwork," he said calmly. "It's theft." The diner froze. Pike blinked. "Excuse me." Jason looked up at him, eyes steady, voice flat. "Where's the money?" And just like that, the room turned. The staff, who had been silent for weeks, looked up. Riley's hands stopped shaking. Theo's sponge froze mid-swipe. Agnes let her wrists rest. Because in that greasy spoon, for the first time in 18 days, somebody had finally asked the only question that mattered. And Pike had no idea who had just asked it. "Where's the money?" The question hung in the diner like smoke. Everyone heard it, but nobody moved. Pike blinked, taken off guard. His smirk faltered for a second before snapping back into place. "The money," he said slowly, as if Jason had just asked about the weather, "is being processed. Corporate's a machine, son. Things take time." Jason leaned back, unimpressed. 18 days is time. It's negligence. The staff looked at one another, silent, wide-eyed. Riley pressed her lips together, half terrified, half thankful. Nobody had dared challenge Pike out loud before. Not like this. Pike chuckled, a cold little laugh. "Look, friend, I don't know who you are, but maybe stick to your eggs and let the grown-ups handle the paperwork, yeah." Jason's jaw flexed. He didn't move, didn't blink, just tapped the rim of his mug with one finger, steady as a ticking clock. "You think stealing wages makes you a grown-up?" The cook snorted before he could stop himself. Riley's eyes darted to Pike, bracing for the explosion. And there it was. Pike slammed his hand on the counter so hard the napkin holders rattled. "Enough. I don't know who you think you are, but I don't take lip from some nobody off the street. This is my store, my rules, my staff. You don't like it, you can leave." Jason finally stood, slow, deliberate. His chair creaked as it slid back. Every muscle in the room tightened like a drawn bowstring. "Your staff," Jason said quietly. "Funny. I thought they worked for the company, not for you." Pike sneered. "Same thing." Jason stepped closer. He was calm, but the weight of his presence shifted the air. "Not the same thing. See, I know the company, I know the board, I know the books." His eyes narrowed. "And I know theft when I see it." The room went silent. You could hear the ceiling fan clicking overhead. Pike's smirk twitched, but he tried to play it cool. "Big words, but unless your name is on the lease, you're just another customer with opinions." Jason leaned in, his voice dropping to a razor's edge. "Then let me give you a fact." He pulled a small card from his pocket and slid it across the counter. The staff couldn't see it, but Pike did. His face went pale. Jason didn't need to say the words. The card said it for him. "CEO." The silence that followed was louder than any shout. Theo, the dishwasher, gaped. Agnes whispered something that sounded like a prayer. Riley's hands flew to her mouth, eyes filling with tears she hadn't allowed herself to shed in 18 long days. Pike, however, looked like he'd swallowed glass. This is some kind of joke." Jason's voice was calm, but his stare burned. "The joke is thinking you could steal from these people and get away with it." Pike sputtered, trying to recover. You don't understand. It's complicated. Corporate funding delays, processing issues. My hands are tied." Jason shook his head slowly. "Your hands weren't tied when you collected your salary on time. Your hands weren't tied when you ordered that shiny new car parked out back. Funny how the only thing tied around here are their paychecks." The staff shifted, heads nodded. The truth had been spoken aloud finally. Jason turned, looking at each of them in turn. "You've given this place your sweat, your hours, your lives, and in return you've been lied to." He let the words sink in. "Not anymore." He faced Pike again. "You're done." The manager froze. "Excuse me." "You're fired," Jason said, voice like iron. Gasps rippled across the diner. Riley nearly dropped her notepad. Agnes actually smiled for the first time that morning. Theo let out a soft, "Holy hell." Pike's face twisted red. You can't do that. You can't just walk in here and—" Jason cut him off. "I just did." The words landed like a hammer. Pike's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Jason didn't wait for a response. He pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and handed it to Riley. "Payroll, tell them your hours, every last one. You'll be paid by the end of the day." Her hands shook as she took the phone. I do." Jason gave her the faintest smile. "You do, go on." She pressed the phone to her ear, her voice trembling as she spoke to a representative on the other end. For the first time in weeks, the staff felt something they'd nearly forgotten: hope. Pike tried one last desperate move. "You don't get it, these people need me. Without me, this place will." Jason turned, his eyes like steel. "Without you, this place might finally breathe." Pike wilted under the stare. His power had evaporated. The swagger was gone. All that remained was a man exposed. Jason addressed the staff. "From now on, this place changes. Respect, pay, fair hours. You'll get what you're owed." He looked at each of them again. "And if anyone tries to take that from you, they answer to me." The diner was silent, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was relief. Agnes wiped her eyes with the corner of her apron. Theo whispered, "Finally." Riley, still on the phone, choked back a sob as the payroll officer confirmed their checks would be released. Jason nodded once. His job here wasn't finished, but the first battle was won. He picked up his coffee, now cold, and drained it in one swallow. Then he set the mug down and looked at Pike one last time. "Get out." And for the first time since he'd walked into that diner, Pike obeyed. The aftermath spread like wildfire. Word traveled fast. By noon, other employees from neighboring franchises were calling, asking if it was true. By evening, Jason had meetings lined up with regional managers, audits scheduled, and an emergency board session ready. But inside Mile 214 Diner, something else happened. The laughter came back. Not the cruel, hollow laughter Pike had carried, but the real kind. The clatter of plates sounded lighter. Riley smiled when she poured coffee, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Jason sat back in his booth, watching them breathe again. It was small, but it mattered. Riley came over, wiping her hands on her apron. "I don't know what to say." "Say thank you," Jason said. "Thank you," she whispered. He shook his head. "Not to me, to yourself, for hanging on this long." Her lip trembled, she nodded. Jason stood, adjusted his shirt, and headed for the door, but before he left he turned back. "You keep serving the food. I'll handle the rest." And with that he was gone. The bell over the door clanged. The staff stood a little taller, and the diner, for the first time in 18 days, felt alive again. Because sometimes justice doesn't come in boardroom or press releases. Sometimes it comes over burnt coffee, cold eggs, and a man who refuses to look the other way. And that morning, Jasonstatham reminded them all, you don't need a suit to be the boss. You just need the guts to stand up.